I'm Caitlin,
I'm Corey.
and our center is on story elements. This is actually a review from the third grade trophies book on Ramona Forever. And basically students will read books for fluency and comprehension. Students will then complete a worksheet such as this one right here on story maps to demonstrate their understanding of story elements pertaining to the story that they read, written as series or by the same author, focusing on character and story elements. This is for third grade, although it can be used for all grade levels because story mapping can be used for any grade level. Really, it's taught in third grade mainly. We decided that it's going to be in groups of 4 to 5, and it's going to take 15 to 20-ish minutes. Skill level can be for accelerated, well, all readers, mainly at level. We do have a part where accelerated readers can benefit from it, and then lower readers can as well. The materials are different level books. For above grade level, they can read above grade level books. For lower readers, we have used nursery rhymes. The story elements worksheet and colored pencils. And our Common Core State Standard is compare and contrast the themes, settings, and plots of stories written by the same author about the same or similar characters. And knowledge targets, our students must know that a setting is in a location in which a story takes place. They must know that the plot means the main sequence of events in a text. And students must identify theme, setting, and plot. And basically as a whole group, from the trophies book, we would read Ramona Forever. We would complete a story map together because this is a review. And then the students would turn in their review story map before coming to the center to do it again, either at above or at grade level again, or using the nursery rhyme for the lower readers.
So when they come to the center, basically what they're going to do is they're going to come up and the instructions are available on this poster board itself. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to select a book or a nursery rhyme to read. They read through that story or nursery rhyme one time. Then they're going to look for vocabulary words or rhyming words, and they're going to document those on their story map worksheet. Third, they're going to answer the questions. Who are the characters? What is the setting? What's the problem? And what was the solution? And right here has the different questions that they can ask themselves. What is the name of the story, the nursery rhyme you read? They're also going to include the author's name. Characters, who are the main characters in the story. List and give a brief description of those characters. And that would go with the nursery rhymes as well. They would describe the characters in the nursery rhyme, the setting where it takes place, the plot, a few key events that may have occurred in the nursery rhyme or in the story. Problem, what was the problem that the characters faced, and how did they resolve that problem is for the solution. And they would list and define any vocabulary words that they have. If it's a story or if it's a nursery rhyme, like I said, they would go ahead and list rhyming words. The assessment piece is basically we're looking for completion of the story map, and on the back side they will have the opportunity to illustrate their favorite part of the story or the nursery rhyme, and then they would hand that in as part of their assessment.
So what questions do you have for this group?
Yes.
How long do they get to do all of this?
It'd take probably about 15 minutes to complete this one.
Even the lower levels?
We think it would take about 15 minutes for the lower levels as well, because they would be working with shorter stories like a nursery rhyme or something along those lines.
What grade level is this for?
This would be for third grade.
We took it from the third grade trophies book, but you can use story maps for any grade level.
Second, fourth.
Expand on them.
What kind of prior knowledge do you think that it needs for this to work out?
They definitely would need to understand what the setting is, what the characters are, what the plot would be. So these key elements here, the characters, setting, plot, they would need to know what those words mean so they could figure out.
And this in the trophies book is actually a review lesson. It's not an initially taught lesson.
What we would hope from this is that they would be able for the standards, as far as the standard goes, is they would be able to compare and contrast the settings from different books written by the same author. So that would be what we would gear this for as far as the more advanced students.
So they get to choose their story, is that what you said?
Yes.
And are there same author? Is that what you're
We,
gonna
we would want to have different stories from the same author for those students that are ready for that, and so we would have that available in our classroom library so they could choose those.
Typically, the books that you'd be using in a third grade classroom would be a chapter book, which are gonna take longer than 15 minutes to read.
Sure.
Would this work for one chapter?
I believe you could make it work for a chapter, yes.
What do you think you'd have to kind of tweak, what do you think? They can get the title, they can get the author, that's an obvious one.
You would probably, I guess you could do the chapter that you're, instead of the chapter, the title of the story, you do the chapter of the story. And then maybe describe what the character's doing within that chapter.
Could you have them compare the actions of that chapter to the previous chapter?
Sure.
Or a chapter that could be coming up, maybe, something like that?
Yeah, if a problem also arose in one specific chapter and they didn't know the solution, we could also use this as like a, they could write the problem and then guess potentially what the
So you're gonna bring in the prediction
solution,
element.
yeah, prediction
Okay.
element. And they could, maybe guess what they think the solution might be and then refer back to that later on if they were correct or not, and, fill out further story maps for other chapters. It's a sequence.
Other questions?
I just have a comment.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe since your standard is about comparing, right? Was it about comparing? this time?
Yeah, themes, settings, plus the stories written by the same author.
So maybe like in whole group or something, they could come back and share, and then that way they could
Yeah.
have a group discussion about
That'd
comparing.
be good.
Comments? Questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank